Anthony Skinner.
Ian Cron, how are you doing today?
Well, after seeing your shirt, I'm doing much better.
Well, we have been walking through this series of Enneagram types and parenting, and this is my hint for the number that we're on today. You want to tell everybody
Yes.
who we're talking about?
Yes, and I have my fancy shirt on too. We're talking about Enneagram 7 parents. We're talking about the
Yes.
enthusiast parent and how they can become more effective in raising their children. And my question for you is, what kid doesn't want an enthusiast parent, right?
Absolutely.
Or at
Absolutely.
least a healthy enthusiast parent, right?
Yes.
They're fun, they're spontaneous, they're imaginative, they're creative, they're spontaneous, they're optimistic, and as you know, they're unrivaled entertainers who can keep kids captivated for hours with incredible stories,
Yes.
right?
Uh, yes. But as we know, the blind spots can undermine their effectiveness as parents. So, as we've done in the past, why don't you give us some tips for sevens that they can put to practice to
Yeah,
become better parents?
sure. The first one is be reliable.
Okay.
Be reliable. Enthusiasts, parents are a blast, but they have racing minds. They're distractible. They tend to overcommit, which can lead them to lose track of time. They show up late for stuff often. And sometimes they'll unintentionally make promises to their children in the glow of the moment and not follow through on them.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what does that mean? It means that if they're not careful, uh, 7 parents can develop a reputation with their kids for being flaky or unreliable, you
Okay.
know? So here's what they need to do. They need to slow down. They need to carefully monitor their schedule and their commitments. They need to keep a to-do list, right? Like these are the things I
Good.
have to do. I have to be here and then. They ought to set reminders on their phones to say, pick up Billy at 7 from, karate, or whatever their commitments may be. Kids need to know they can depend on you.
Hmm.
And so avoid making casual promises,
Hmm.
and just show up for life in the way that a dependable, reliable parent would.
That's good. So be reliable. I love that, just the practicality of to set reminders on your phone. So that's really good. So how about tip number 2?
Be mindful of the moment.
Ooh, that's a good one for sevens.
Yeah. So at times, an enthusiast parent's boundless energy and optimism can overwhelm their kids, particularly if those children are not themselves sevens on the
Okay.
Enneagram. So the trick is to be mindful of the moment, right? An enthusiast parent should be asking themselves all the time, what is required of me in this particular moment? Um,
Good.
do I need to talk less and listen more to my child right now? Do I need to tap my brakes on my energy and let my kids have the spotlight, in this moment? Do I need to sit with my kid with their pain rather than try to reframe it? It's like, can you just be mindful of the moment, asking yourself, what does this moment require of me? Yeah.
I love that. Be mindful of the moment, sitting with your kids in their moments as well. So move on to tip number 3.
Be the authority. Be the authority. It's interesting in the workplace and in the home. Enthusiast parents avoid having to play the role of the authority figure. They tend to want to always flatten hierarchies to make everybody an equal, right?
Right.
So that they can avoid playing the bad cop
Right.
because they're in charge. And people in charge, periodically you got to play bad cop, right?
Right.
And they don't like that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So listen, I've said this before. No kid wants to feel like no one's in charge,
Absolutely.
right? It creates anxiety for them,
Right.
right? So enthusiast parents need to assume the mantle of authority in the food chain and lead their kids with kindness and firmness. You
Mm,
know,
that's
it's
good.
really important. It's really, really important.
So tip number 1, be reliable. Tip number 2, be mindful of the moment that you're in, that your children are in. and be the authority, which of course creates safety and boundaries for your children. Those are
Absolutely.
3 great tips. Can you give us a word to go out on?
I can't imagine a world without enthusiast parents.
Same. So good. Well, Sevens, we love you, and we are so thankful that you are listeners, and we hope that you have gleaned some really good information from these tips that we've given you today. And Ian, we thank you for offering these to us.
Cheers.
Yeah. See ya.